Hi, I'm Steve Thompson, president of Emery Thompson Machine.
I'm Christy Brown, vice president of sales and marketing.
I think I'm going to go first today because I've been hearing about shark attacks on the East Coast. You know, they happen every summer, but they're getting, and it reminded me of the IRS tax code 179. Makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah.
No.
Okay. Well, before you go and spend all your money this fall on a Mako, which is one of the best fishing boats that's ever been. Before you go buy that Mako Shark fishing boat, let me quickly tell you about tax code 179. That's an IRS tax code that says if you buy an Emery Thompson batch freezer, it also says maybe you can buy a Ford truck or a few other things. But if you buy an Emery Thompson batch freezer and you had a profitable year, you can write off the taxes, the cost of the truck or the Emery Thompson batch freezer against the profits that you made. So you're lowering your profit level, which will give you more money at the end of the year, and you end up with a beautiful Emery Thompson batch freezer. So now, in the middle of August, is the time to consider buying your machine. You'll have delivery before Christmas, and you'll have a nice tax deduction.
Very true. My next one is do I need to get a pint sealer to make my pints, or do I need to do a layer of parchment paper? No, you don't. We have gone over this once, I believe, before. However, I actually have a pint here with ice cream in it, just so you can see how nice of a seal it makes on its own. So after you get done making your pints, whether you hand pack it or if you have a smaller model, you can just pour it right from the machine into the pints. After you get done doing that, freeze it upside down. What it's doing is all the ice cream is settling down to the top of the lid, creating a nice natural seal. Ready? And there we go. It's nice and snug, it's tight, no air is getting into that, and it makes that beautiful, first initial when you peel that lid off and you look at it. Oh, see? Look, there we go again. There we go. Nice and tight seal. Perfect. Just freeze it upside down, save your money. Don't do no parchment paper, pint sealer, waste money on one of those. Be just fine upside down. By the way, Ben and Jerry still do that to this day.
I think we've mentioned in the past that we don't discuss what we're going to do in advance, so it's as much a surprise to us as it is to the audience. So I too have a pint.
Oh no.
And I want to talk about alcohol.
Okay, it's not the same thing,
So,
freezing upside down.
First off, you tell them let me just show them. You tell them what that beautiful product is.
That is Florida Hurricane. That is a boozy ice.
And what's in there?
It has Malibu rum, blue curacao, pineapple juice, and sugar and cream of coconut.
Now, if you want to put alcohol into ice cream, there are rules. I don't know of any state that you need a license, an alcohol license, but they all have different restrictions on the amount that you can put in. We discussed it as our most recent Make It Fresh class, so if you want to see an expanded version, you can look at the early August class. But basically, you call up, people say, how much can I put in? You call up the state, and there'll be some board in charge of alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, and you ask them, how much is allowed to put into a product without a license? And they'll tell you a percentage by volume. They'll say something like 4% by volume. I have no idea what that means, but you can ask them about it and then find out what that amount is, and then your target is going to be to make sure that you put in less than 4% by volume, if that's the number. So you're going to put in 3.5%. And that'll translate out to, like in the CB350, I put in just a little bit over a pint. Sometimes if you go overboard with the alcohol, all you taste is the alcohol. You're making bourbon vanilla ice cream, and you taste it, and instead of tasting a nice background of the bourbon, you go like that because it's just too strong. And now you've killed the reason to eat the ice cream. So check with the state, and then when anyone comes in to inspect, you'll be armed to tell them that yes, if our limit is 4%, we use 3.5%, and you'll work that out mathematically to what that comes out to for your particular Emery Thompson.
Very good points.
And I have heard nothing but all fabulous accolades about this.
It is very, very smooth, and it is so good. Oh, so good.
Your turn.
Okay, my next one is, should I use 2.5 gallon or 3 gallon containers? Dipping cabinets will hold either or. Now, here's the thing. A lot of ice cream makers like to use both. But I will tell you the differences between the 2.5 and the 3 gallon. An example, the 24 quart. You put in 1 bladder, which is 10 quarts. It's 2.5 gallons. If you run it homemade, that's 100% overrun, so you're getting 5 gallons of product. Nobody's really going to open up another bladder just to pour 2 more quarts to make it a full 12 quarts of product. Then you're going to get 24 quarts. If you did, then you're going to need 2 3-gallon containers. If you just dump 1 bladder in at 100% overrun, you're going to get 5 gallons, which is 2 of these. So if you run that, it'll be all the way up to the top. You have no room to add little decorations on top if you wanted to. So these will be full to the top. If you wanted to run the 10-quart bladder and you use the 3-gallon containers, you will have, the 1/2 gallon left of space, and that's more for air. I probably would put some type of like a paper down just to seal it from the air. And of course you can add your cookies on top for decorations if you wanted to. So I kind of think it's more of a personal choice. I think you recommend the 2.5 all the time, don't you?
I like the 2.5, but the machine is capable of making 3-gallon tubs, 2 3-gallon tubs. And the people who use that are the Italian ice people because they're not opening up a bladder.
No, they're not.
They're measuring out water from the sink, adding their own sugar. So with a longer freezing time, it's worth their while to run the larger batch.
And then, like I said, ice cream, nobody's going to open another bladder just to pour 2 more quarts in.
Yeah, sounds good. Keeping on the theme of winter is coming and the end of the year with that tax code tip, we're going to be talking all this fall about winterizing your machine if you are a seasonal business. Most of you are year-round with a store, but seasonal with a truck or a freestanding building where you close down for the winter, lucky you, and go off to the Caribbean. If you have any water-cooled equipment, the compressor, the main engine, is cooled by water. And there are specific things that you have to do to get that water out of the machine so that it doesn't freeze up in the winter. Whether it's a soft ice cream machine from Taylor or Capigiani or Electrofreeze, or it's a milkshake machine, anything that's water cooled, you're going to have to get forced air, compressed air, to blow that water out before the winter comes. Pretty simple, and we'll talk about it. I may even do a separate video to show you how to do it. Of course, when you're buying a used machine and they say, oh, it's been in my garage for 3 years, that scares the heck out of me because did they blow the water out? Because if they didn't, it froze up, expanded, and burst all the pipes.
Especially if they're up in Michigan or Wisconsin, cold places like that.
That's where Mike is going soon. He actually finds that cold to be fun. I can't imagine why you wouldn't want to be on the beach.
Some people like cold. He keeps that office like penguins can habitat in there. It's so cold.
Did you have a last question, or are we just going to make fun of Mike?
I have a last one.
We can just make fun of Mike.
Yeah, we could. Since he is recording, he can't hear us. Philip asked, how do I make churro ice cream? He wants to use the churros. Everybody knows what a churro is. It's very, a very famous cinnamon sugar tweet. I almost say tweet.
Tweet.
It's a tweet. Treat. And it's on the crunchier side. It is made with dough. So with that said, it's kind of like the Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal, any type of cereal, Fruit Loops, Fruity Pebbles. It's great when it first comes out of the machine. However, it's going to get kind of soggy and chewy, and it's not going to hold its texture or shape very well. So a suggestion would be to freeze it first, and then after it's frozen overnight, couple hours, throw it into a Ninja or whichever you have and chop it up. And then I would put it into a more of a dust type, so that way you're still getting the churro flavor, but you're not getting a chewy bit. If you're going to serve it for your own self right away at home, then that's a different story. But to serve to your customers, it's best if you grind that down. And
that's going to make for a spectacular flavor because for every particle of churro, there's going to be a particle of dairy right next to it.
There is.
So it's going to be a very intense flavor.
Speaking of that, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, that's a huge flavor, but everybody buys the cereal and then grinds it down.
Yeah.
I just saw on the shelves, I don't know if anybody else out there knows, they have a Cinnamon Toast Crunch now powder that you can buy already in the powder in a little jar. It looks kind of like a spice jar. And so I wonder if that would work out a lot better so it doesn't have that grit texture.
Let's try it for the October class.
You want to try that?
Sure.
We can buy that and do that.
Let's make that.
Okay.
Stay
All right.
tuned.
Well, there we go.
And please join us next week where we'll be doing another Questions Answered. And thank you very much. Good to see you.
Bye.
Bye.